There's a white powder sitting in your baking cabinet that costs about $2 a jar, and it will lift burnt carbon off a stainless steel pan so cleanly the bottom looks like it did the day you bought it. Not scrubbed clean, not mostly clean, factory floor clean. The kind of clean where light reflects off the surface evenly again because there's nothing left for it to catch on. And the wild part, the part that actually bothers me the more I think about it, is that this isn't a trick or a hack or some internet shortcut. It's been sitting in the kitchens of professional cooks for roughly 300 years. It got quietly pushed to the back of the shelf sometime between 1955 and 1965, and most people under the age of 60 have no idea it can do this. Walk down the cleaning aisle of any grocery store and count the products designed for one specific problem: burnt pans. There's a cream cleaner with a blue label. There's a powdered version of the same brand. There's a foaming spray. There's a pink paste in a tub that's somehow $11 for 9 ounces. There's a stainless specific polish. There's a separate stainless specific degreaser. There's a nylon scrub pad that's sold as a cleaning product, even though it's just a piece of plastic mesh. Add up what a person spends across a decade of kitchen life, trying to keep the bottoms of their pans from going dark, and the number climbs past $300 without anyone really noticing. And none of it works permanently. You clean the pan, cook 3 more meals, and the staining creeps back in. You clean it again. The cycle repeats. That's the business model. That's always been the business model. Nobody sells a cleaning product and markets it as the last one you'll ever need to buy, because nobody in that industry would stay in business doing that. Here's what's interesting though. The stain doesn't actually need a proprietary chemical to come off. It needs the right kind of acid, a specific kind. A weak organic acid with a particular molecular structure that can chelate metal oxides, meaning it grabs onto them at the atomic level and carries them away in solution. That's not marketing language. That's just chemistry. And the cheapest source of that specific acid in the American kitchen has been sitting in the baking aisle since the country was founded. It's called cream of tartar, potassium bitartrate, if you want the formal name. A fine white powder that comes off the inside of wine barrels during fermentation and gets scraped out, purified, and sold for about 14 cents an ounce. Your grandmother used it to stabilize egg whites when she made meringue. She may or may not have also used it to clean her copper cookware, depending on what part of the country she grew up in, because that use was widespread, and then it wasn't. Before the 1950s, American kitchens ran on a completely different chemistry. Households didn't have 15 specialized cleaning products. They had maybe 4 ingredients that did everything. Baking soda for scouring and deodorizing, vinegar for hard water and grease, salt for abrasion, and cream of tartar for the stuff the other 3 couldn't touch. Specifically, the dark carbonized stains that build up on the bottoms of pans and the inside of copper pots. Cookbooks from the 1920s and 30s mention it casually, the way we'd mention dish soap, as if everyone reading already knew. There's a line I ran across in a reprinted domestic guide from 1912 that just says, in passing, a paste of cream of tartar and water restores the bottom of a scorched saucepan. That's the whole instruction. No brand, no product, no proprietary angle. Just a sentence assuming you have it on hand. That kind of knowledge used to travel mother to daughter, cook to apprentice without ever needing to be written down formally, which is exactly the kind of knowledge that disappears the fastest when the economy shifts. And the economy did shift. After World War II, American chemical manufacturers came off a massive wartime production buildup with factories designed to produce synthetic detergents and degreasers at industrial scale. Those factories needed civilian markets. Marketing budgets exploded. Branded cleaners with catchy names and jingles moved into every grocery store and every television commercial break. By 1965, the average American home had a cleaning cabinet instead of a cleaning shelf. The old 4-ingredient system didn't go away because it stopped working. It went away because nobody was running ads for it. You can't really advertise cream of tartar. There's no brand. There's no margin. There's no reason for a company to spend money convincing you to buy a thing that already works and that costs nothing to produce. To understand why this works, you have to understand what a burnt stain actually is, because it's not what most people think. When food scorches onto stainless steel, 2 things are happening at the same time. The first is obvious. The sugars and proteins in the food are going through what chemists call the Maillard reaction, pushing past browning into pyrolysis, which is the controlled decomposition of organic material into carbon. That's the dark crust. That part you can scrape off with a metal spatula if you're patient, but underneath that crust, something else is happening that you can't scrape off. The heat is oxidizing the surface of the steel itself. Iron atoms in the alloy are bonding with oxygen and forming a microscopically thin layer of iron oxide. That oxide layer is what gives a burnt pan its permanent-looking discoloration. It's why the dark rings and rainbow sheens don't come off even after the food residue is gone. The metal itself has changed at its surface. Standard abrasive cleaning can grind some of it off, but you're literally scratching steel away with each pass, which is why pans that get heavily scrubbed develop a dull, pitted look over time. You're not cleaning them, You're slowly sanding them. Tartaric acid works differently. It doesn't abrade the surface. It performs a chemical reaction with the iron oxide. Specifically, it binds to the iron atoms through a process called chelation, where the acid molecule wraps around the metal ion and holds it in solution. The oxide layer lifts off the pan and into the water as dissolved tartrate complexes, leaving the underlying steel untouched. No scratches, no pitting. The surface you expose is the surface that was there before the oxidation happened. It's not magic. It's the same basic reaction used in industrial metal cleaning, electroplating prep, and museum conservation of historical metalwork. The only reason it feels magical in a kitchen is that nobody in your life has ever shown it to you. Here's exactly how to do it, and the measurements matter more than you'd expect. For a standard 10 or 12-inch stainless pan with moderate burnt residue, you want 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar and about a cup of water. Mix them in the pan itself. Put the pan on medium-low heat. You're not trying to boil it aggressively. You want a gentle simmer, just enough motion. In the liquid that the dissolved acid is circulating across the burnt surface, let it run for 10 to 15 minutes. You'll see the water darken, sometimes faintly yellow, sometimes surprisingly brown, and that color is the oxide layer and carbonized residue actually dissolving into the liquid. That's the reaction happening in real time. When the color stops deepening, the reaction has run its course. Pour the liquid out, rinse the pan with warm water. What's left on the surface we'll wipe off with a soft cloth. For deeper staining, pans that have been abused for years, bottoms that have gone almost black, make a thicker paste instead. 3 tablespoons of cream of tartar with just enough water to form something the texture of toothpaste. Spread it directly on the stained area. Leave it for 30 minutes without heat. Come back, add a splash of water, and work it with a non-abrasive sponge in small circles. The paste will turn gray as it pulls the oxidation up. Rinse, and the pan underneath will look alarmingly close to new. Alarmingly is the right word. The first time you do this, you'll actually stop and stare at the pan for a second because the change is so complete, it doesn't feel like it should have worked that fast for that little effort. A couple of practical notes. This method is for stainless steel, cast iron that's not seasoned copper, and most ceramic-coated cookware. Do not use it on non-stick Teflon-type surfaces because the acid can degrade the coating over time. Standard kitchen ventilation is fine. There's nothing toxic happening, no fumes to worry about, no gloves required beyond what you'd normally use around hot water. And if the pan has a long history of scorching, you may need to run the process twice. The first pass lifts the outer layer, the second pass cleans what was underneath. The reason this result holds, the reason the pan stays clean longer than it would after a chemical cleaner, comes down to what tartaric acid leaves behind, which is nothing. Commercial cleaners often deposit surfactant residues or polishing compounds on the metal that look clean initially but create microscopic surface texture that food grabs onto more easily next time. Cream of tartar rinses away completely. What remains is bare, chemically neutral steel, which is the most stain-resistant state the metal can be in. The pan isn't just clean, it's reset. You now know something that most of the people cooking tonight don't. Not because it's a secret exactly, but because the knowledge stopped being passed down right around the time television started telling everyone what to buy instead. Go to any grocery store this week, find the baking aisle, look for the small jar labeled cream of tartar, usually near the baking soda. Pick up the worst pan in your kitchen and try it on that one first, because the more damage you start with, the more obvious the result is. If this kind of reclaimed kitchen knowledge is the sort of thing you want more of, the old methods that got buried under a century of marketing, stick around, because I've got a long list of them I'm working through. And if you've used this trick before, or if your grandmother used it and you remember watching her do it, drop a note about it. That's the kind of chain this stuff travels down, and it shouldn't have to stop.